Hello and welcome back to Series 4 of the This Is The Music Meets podcast. I'm delighted to be joined by solo star Mark Bleasdale, who is just a couple of weeks away from releasing his brand new single, It Gets Old. Mark, thanks very much for coming on the This Is The Music Meets podcast. It's great to be finally talking to you face to face rather than over DMs. So how are you doing?
I'm good, brother. I'm gonna cheers you, man. Thank you for having me on. I'll have a bit of this first.
Cheers. Yeah, I've let the side down.
It's all right, mate. It's good. Yeah, listen, I'm really good, thank you, and I appreciate you having me on the show. So yeah, we've been like talking like via releases, really, haven't we, for like the past probably coming on to like a year now, I'd say. Back to Here I Am, I think it was when we first.
The first single there. Well, I got involved in.
The first one you got involved with. Yeah, so you've been busy.
Yeah, trying to be. Obviously doing this, but obviously we're going to get on and talk a little bit later on. But obviously you've been busy with the single we've just mentioned, and you've obviously been away recording a video for it as well in Vienna. So I think you've definitely been more busier than myself, if that's possible.
Yeah, well, in sections, but not all the time. Maybe writing busy, but yeah, there's been a nice period for me though.
Great stuff. So obviously we've mentioned the new single, and which we'll come on to talking about in a little while as well. And obviously you've done very kindly done a exclusive performance of one of your previous singles, Lies on Lies, which we will hear back at the end of the podcast. But what I'd like to know, obviously, is you know that we champion new music and like bands and artists like yourself. So sort of in that 12-month period that you've just sort of mentioned that we've been chatting, has there been any sort of bands on the new music scene or solo artists that have really caught your personal attention?
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, I used your show pretty much, and like rise to recognition. And I don't want to be like an Away Day fanboy or nothing, but there's just so much new stuff. You guys are like kind of like my rabbit hole, really. It was kind of the only good thing about Spotify, really. You know what I mean? You could listen to something and then you get somebody else recommended, and then you shoot off, and next minute you're late for an appointment because you're just listening to new tunes. I think one of the bands that I'm really liking, and they're not really, maybe Apollo Junction. I think for me, that album is really cool, man. I think them boys are doing well, and obviously you've got it's Marseille, isn't it, as well?
Yeah, great band as well.
Really well. All the guys like the Shed guys, Shed Project, all that sort of stuff. I mean, there's just so much out there. And I'm going to be really honest now. I'm not going to be like yeah, I've always been into this scene, but so like I'm kind of new to Twitter, probably about the time that we really met, to be honest. So let's say like the last 12 months. I mean, like 12 months ago, I had 5 followers or something like that, and I'm not a mega social media like sweetheart, you know what I mean? So but now we're over 1,000 people and stuff, and a lot of the people I've heard via Twitter. That music scene for me, it's amazing. And I'm telling all the boys, I'm like, get onto this, listen to these shows, listen to these radio stations. I mean, there's yourself. And then there's the Me, Myself, and I show, which is really good. That goes out all over the world. And there's so much good music out there. But yeah, I think Apollo Junction for me are my favorite out of those lot.
Yeah, fantastic band. And obviously, as you say, their album is bloody brilliant. Shall we say?
It sounds good as well.
Yeah, I think they've done really well.
I mean, yeah, not just good songs and stuff like that, but production-wise, it's really good. I'll tell you something else who's popped up lately is Grace. I can never pronounce her surname right.
Oh, Calver, I think that's how you say it. So apologies, Grace.
Yeah, my fault, Grace. I apologize. Yeah, really good.
Definitely some great choices in there, and but I was listening. If you haven't checked them out before, then obviously once you've listened to the podcast and obviously Mark's new stuff, then check them out as well. That'd be great. So I just really want to go back to like almost the very, very beginning, really. of your like musical sort of, I guess I don't really like using this word, but journey.
Yeah,
Who or what kind of like got you first into music?
So I started playing, me and my best friend, Chris Morris, we call him Mozza. He had a guitar. His brother, who's older than us, he had a bass drum with like a toy box,
Right.
a bass
Okay.
drum
Yeah.
pedal, and like a snare drum and a hi-hat. And I was like, I couldn't be bothered playing guitar. The thing was too hard. But I sat down behind his drum kit and I was like, damn, I can play.
Yeah.
So that's how it started. We were like, I don't even want to know. We were high school, you know. Then we formed a band in high school. We were listening to bands like Metallica and that back in those days. Yeah, we were like proper like into metal, and that carried on, you know, all that sort of stuff, the grunge stuff, Pearl Jam, all that sort of Seattle sound,
Yeah.
Nirvana. But Stephen, who is Chris's older brother, because he was older than us, he was at university, right? So he was like listening to the Smiths and all that sort of cool like uni stuff. But I was like, I don't know, I like the Smiths. Anyway, and then one day he's put on this like single, and it was Oasis, and it was like I was like, wow, I was like, what is this? And it was just so cool, and you know, Liam was so different. You know, doing sort of checking him out, and he looked cool. Then bear in mind, I got hair down here at this time, so I'm like, I'm a metalhead, getting like thrown shit at, you know, from kids because like you're the like only long-haired kid in the town.
Yeah.
You see the kids now; they've all got like fucking hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
they all actually should be in the Blossoms or something. But yeah, so Oasis was the turning point. Like genuinely, that was it. It was still like the metal and the rock roots, and that's still in my music now. Yeah, that was the point, you know, Oasis, and then from that, everybody else, you know, Shed 7 and Ocean Colored Seed, all those formidable bands that we're all still listening to now. I can see Liam in the back there.
Yeah, always. So, and kind of like presumably then from there, from sort of like messing around a little bit with your mates there in sort of like the front room type thing, that's then what led to you forming
so
the mates then, basically.
Yeah, it did, absolutely. So I even though I couldn't play the guitar then, I always had sort of ideas for songs.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'd be like shouting at poor Chris. I'm like, oh, what? Play that. And I didn't know what the chord was. I might have been just a freaking G, you know, G major. And I'm like, what was that? That sounds great with that chord, you know. And then he was like, yeah. Then we started writing songs, and we were playing. Fast forward a little bit, we're getting a little bit more serious. Joined up with Greg Wilden, Greg Dudley, Mike Kennedy, Anthony Wilkinson, which are boys from like where I live. They were all like similar sort of standard. We were writing songs, formed the Mags, went out, did some cool things. We opened the World Cup party in Hamburg.
Yeah.
We had like a big thing there. So we did that, guests. We were a resident band at the Calver Club in Liverpool as well, which was cool. So we'd play there every Thursday. Just before like the Mersey Beatles come on, so it was always kind of busy because people go to the Cavern to see that stuff.
Right.
And they were, as a tribute band, they were just phenomenal anyway. So that's how we kind of like got sort of fans that weren't just from Liverpool. And then a guy called Will Schillinger, who's a producer from New York. He was like talking to us, and honestly, we were just begging people for money, like get us to New York, you know. And like people were like why the fuck should we? Because we're going to be massive, you know, honestly. But then it kind of like snowballed a little bit, and this was before crowdfunding.
Yeah.
So it was like, if you give us money, we'll put your name on the sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah.
CD, you know, as a thank you. And people are like giving us like change in the pub. It depended how drunk or how aggressive we were asking. Anyway, we went out to America, and you know, we recorded. First of all, we recorded an EP. Then we went back, recorded an album out there on Cavern Records. It sounds great. I mean, I'll send you a copy of this. I've probably got about 5,000 of them still in the garage. they've moved with me through about 5 houses. You're not going to throw them away? I'm like, no. Fucking throw them away.
Definitely not. You can't do that.
Yeah. So that's what led us up to New York. But I mean, it was a good time, you know. Like back then, music was, you know, the music scene was amazing. From Liverpool, you had, you know, Zootons and all those Delta Sonic boys.
Yeah.
You know, Calver were doing really, really good. Harry Payne was doing great. You know, it was a good time, man. But we tried to make that jump across to New York because our aim was to try and do like the Strokes in reverse.
Right. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
you know, where the Strokes came over here and everyone, they're the biggest band in New York, and they were not.
Yeah.
You know, they obviously had something, but they weren't what like the enemy was saying they were, and all. And I think that's I mean, I think I'm right in saying that. But so yeah, that was our aim, to go and do the thing the opposite way around. Didn't quite work, but we tried.
Hey, you got to try these things. Definitely, absolutely, in my view. But also just going back as well there with the Cavern Club, because I understand that you're only the second band to have been given a fairly long like residency.
At that time, time, sure, yeah. Before that, then obviously the Beatles and stuff like that. But yeah, at the time, and I still think it's true now. Yeah, we were like only the second band to have like a residency there, and that was cool. And it came about really through Bill Heckle and Dave Jones, I think his name is. I think it's Dave, yeah. Who owned the Cavern Club, and we played there. And he was cool because we were young, and we could play. We practiced that well that we could just have a drink and be like, you know, leery but still play. But only because we'd rehearsed so much.
Yeah.
You know, it was just kind of like second nature. We rehearsed 3-4 times a week, 4 or 5 hours, you know, because that was our thing. Yes, we got it through him, and it was an amazing time. It was good. I mean, we would just get drunk, dude, to be honest. Flaming sambucas and like leather jackets on stage. Like even me playing the drums, and it was so hot.
Yeah.
Just not necessary at all. But we just wanted, and we had scarves. I'll send you some pics, man. We had scarves and leather jackets, no matter what the weather.
And sunglasses on indoors. That's like, you know, standard ball, kit for a rock and roll star, right?
I'm still like that now, man. I still like to wear sunglasses inside, especially when I got off that flight today. I had some on.
Yes, it sounds like that was a bit of a long old day. So I mean, obviously you've got the record deal. You've obviously had the Cavern residency, and obviously you've been over to New York. I mean, you guys, and obviously yourself personally, really, sort of what we're focusing on here. Yeah. But basically living the dream by the sounds of it.
You know, we were hustling, and it's good to see. Going back to the Twitter thing, it's good to see bands and young acts hustling, because that's what it was all about. We didn't think it was going to be handed to us.
Yeah,
so we were going for it. But at the same time, you know, we were a lot younger, and we didn't care who we let down in the process. Relationships, parents, jobs.
Yeah.
You know, we were going through jobs. We didn't care. You know what I mean? We just wanted to do that. So yeah, it was good fun, you know. Ultimately, I mean, I'm probably maybe jumping ahead on one of your questions, but ultimately, when we were aiming for the peak, and then we had a few deals on the table, like bigger deals, in the US. I say on the table, but like talking about it with the labels and stuff. And then when it didn't happen, we were kind of like, we were spent. We didn't think that once we got to that point that it might not work.
Yeah, sure.
So we were just like, you know, we were like a balloon. Yes. And then as soon as that happened, we didn't have, and it's funny actually, because the album's called No Plan B. Yeah. And we didn't have a plan B. And that's the truth. You know, we lived and died by it, really, because it was that or bust. We all kind of knew that this was what we were going for, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that ended. And then I'd met a chick out there. I say chick, I shouldn't say that. I met a lady out there called Anna, and she was like some like Greek girl, and she's like beautiful. And I was like, I'm going back to New York, man.
Yeah.
And that was kind of like the first time I got from behind the drum kit and like started trying to produce and write my own songs rather than writing for the band. Even though in the mags, Mike Kennedy was predominantly the songwriter, but you come down to ideas, and it was kind of my job to organize those ideas and give them the nod. And it was Greg Wilden's job, the bass player, to stop me and Mike fighting. He was like the pacifier. We'd argue and then look to Greg. Like, who's right? Mike's like, I was bass guitar. I was like, oh my God. That was funny, man. So yeah, I ended up going back to New York anyway for a few years, on and off.
So was that then when you went back, when you like went back over to New York? Was that when you sort of maybe went a little bit more like for the party scene sort of type thing as well? And
yeah, it is. Yeah, so I started doing a little bit more electronic-y stuff as well. To be honest, I was like listening to She Wants Revenge and things like that, and I kind of like that synthy sort of music. So I started a little project called Riding Between Cars, and then also at the time we'd be doing electronic music. I was trying to like hook up with some hip hop artists over there, because what I really wanted to do, I wanted to do trance music, but with hip hop, like rapping over it.
Right. Okay. Wow. What a mix.
This is before, but do you think now, like, look like sort of Dizzy Rascal and stuff like that going back? Because that's the sort of time we're looking. Nobody was doing it. And the next minute, Dizzy Rascal smashing it. Just wanted, but in hip hop artists in like Brooklyn and Manhattan, they were just like, they just thought I was some like strange British guy, you know. So yeah, but anyway,
if only they'd had the foresight.
Yeah, and there's a lot of cool clubs over there. I started hanging out with a cool guy called Hal Ludiker. Hal Ludiker was kind of like an 80s like it boy, so he's like some beautiful human. He's like, you know, like that sort of look, that sort of chisel.
Yeah.
I was obviously older then, but he was a fashion designer. He was cool. He introduced me to a lot of other people as well in that sort of scene. And like the West Village kind of was like, apart from Brooklyn, it was like the West Village was kind of like my home for the next year or so, going to the parties and the clubs over there, and the meatpacking district, really.
Ah, right. Oh, okay. So then why then would you say that the sort of the American dream, if that's because that's sort of the expression that's used, why would you say that maybe ended for you? Is it because you just had enough, or was there another issue?
So yeah, well, basically, I mean, in a nutshell, it ended with me being barred from re-entering the United States for 5 years. So yeah, what happened is that, so we would go and we'd do all these parties. It was networking. It was cool. We were speaking. I mean, we spoke before, sort of like super high profile people, you know, and it was all like social. So it was never kind of cringy. And those circles were, especially if you were like a Brit in New York, you know, so we were hanging out and there was like Moby people and Damian Albarn and well, he was doing Gorillaz stuff back then. So it wasn't
right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I had a cool chat with him actually about Oasis, because obviously as soon as he like heard my accent and I was like that, and we were talking, and he just gave me the look, and he was like, "So were you like Oasis or a Blur fan?" But he was like, you know, edging it out. I mean, he was super cool, man. He was really cool. We spoke about it and stuff, and you know, I got a super intelligent person, man. Just really, even like I don't know, 1 o'clock in the morning, sitting outside smoking cigarettes. So he was like still super cool and on it all the time, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyway, I used to come home at Christmas time and stuff, and came home to visit the relatives, and then on my way back in, I had a 10-year visa, so I thought I could just go in and do whatever I want. And when I came back in this one time, we had this sort of jobs worth, I mean, I shouldn't say this probably, but we had this guy who was doing his job.
I'm not sure that sounds any better, but we'll go with that.
Obviously, I'm sure that you could get away with it. But yeah, so anyway, and he was like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I've got this visa. I'm doing this, blah blah blah." And he goes, I don't like this." And he's looking around, and he's like pulling things off like the internet that have got my name attached to them. And he was like, "Well, you're doing this in America," and it was like, it was musical related, but it was outside the terms of my visa. I'm like, "No, dude, it's not." He was like pulling stuff. It's like, "This is what you've liked this." I'm like, "Yeah, I've liked something, but it's not my job. Well, why are you advertising it? Because you've shared something," that sort of line. And I was like, at first I was like, "Is this guy for real?" Anyway, but he carried on, bro. And I'm going to fast forward. In the end, I was shackled, hands and feet. I was like taken through the airport, put in like an armored vehicle, and like put in like a detention center for a couple of days, like visa revoked, sent back to England. As I'm coming to the airport, they're taking me back, I'm still shackled. I'm only on my hands now. I've got like 2 armed guards, and I'm walking through the airport, and people are like looking at me and saying, "What is going on?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." It was like a bad like Con Air moment. Do you know what I mean? I was just like there. Anyway, in the end, they just like, "Yeah, see you later, Mr. Bleasdale. Off you go." Like unshackled me, and I got on the plane, and everybody on the plane was like, "Where are the guards?" You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, sat me at the back of the plane. That's it, man. 5 years. I didn't go back.
Yeah.
I was still not being back because I was a little bit edgy about going back, and I don't fancy doing all that again, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I mean, I don't blame you, to be honest. I mean, wow, what?
As I was on the way out, Jerry Adams was on the way in. I was like, "Hang on a minute."
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm not going to get too political. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's I'm not quite sure how that works, but hey ho, there you go. So would you say then, like getting deported, did that have any sort of impact on you from maybe like a mental health perspective, or just?
So yeah, it did. Yeah, I mean, looking back at it now, I've spoken about it, and that story I've given you there is like the shortened version. If we were out drinking, that story would last for like 4 days. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, but yeah, it did. Certainly for myself, because they, bear in mind, I had done nothing wrong, but they were deeming it it would be like a minor offense, like a visa issue. That's all. But like I'm being treated the same way that like somebody who was, I don't know, maybe on the run.
Yeah.
So I'm like shackled, and I'm in a jumpsuit, and I've got like little pumps on, and I'm getting I'm having to get a shower, and getting told when you can like wash and stuff. Yeah, that's what I mean. All that. So yeah, that did. And what it did as well, I was like, "F this to music, man." I'm like, I'm not doing music again now. I'm like, all my friends have got houses, all my friends have got kids. You know what I mean? They've got nice jobs, and I've got like this one story, a few others. I'm not doing. I didn't do it. I didn't do music for 7 or 8 years.
Wow.
I didn't write again. Played in a few cover bands with friends just to do that, and but I didn't really start writing again properly until I started teaching and teaching kids, guitar and drums and bass and stuff like that. And that's kind of like what started me again, because I was playing, and then also, I talk about the music to my son, and he'd never heard any of my music.
Yeah.
And then somebody was like, "Hey man, check out Twitter." And I was like, "Yeah, there's a community out there. You don't have to be at that pinnacle to be getting out there and spreading your music." And I thought that's it.
Yeah, absolutely. So just obviously then that kind of like brings us up there, then that sort of from the mags and everything that we've spoken about up to sort of like then effectively your solo sort of career really. But before we get too deep into that, obviously want to talk to you about the new single, It Gets Old, which we were very kindly allowed to play on the This Is the Music Rise of the Indie Artist show, which will hopefully be going back up as a replay probably tomorrow if I pull my finger out. So what can you tell us about the new song? I mean, why now? Obviously, it's been quite a break, isn't it? It's been like in between from the previous single to this one.
So in between Lies and Lies, and this one, I've really buried my head and wrote. I've been writing every day since I've probably written over 100 songs, narrowed that down, to maybe 20, 25. I mean, well, you've had a listen, I'll give you access to that as well, haven't you? So
yeah, some great stuff on there.
I've just been writing. And then I was like, Jesus Christ, I've not released anything for ages,
Yeah.
So then I thought, I'm going to release It Gets Old. So I'm releasing it on the 1st of June, which would have actually been my wedding anniversary. But me and the ex, we split up last year, and I wrote this song. I was fuming. We had a bit of a, it wasn't all her fault, but we had a relationship where it's like we then got back together, and then got married, and I thought, this is it, we sorted it. Anyway, she left. So I was fuming, bro. So I wrote this song in like, I want to say like 45 minutes, recorded it, wrote it, went back afterwards and then fixed things and tied it up. It was 45 minutes. And I've been going right through writing songs like, oh, she left me, all those sort of like breakup songs. And I was like, but I had this riff, and then so I thought, I'm going to do upbeat, catchy number, but with that sort of, emotional background to it with the lyrics. So yeah, it's just about us, we went through and it just got old, and that's why it's called It Gets Old. And then because I'm childish, I'm releasing it on the wedding anniversary. At least I'm honest, bro, but that's why.
And obviously we mentioned at the start of the show you've obviously recorded a music video for this one, so obviously it was out in Vienna. Why there, and kind of like what was the experience like? You had a couple of actors involved in that as well, didn't you?
So last year, Andy Salter, he is another musician from around here. He came to me and he said, I've been in touch with a filmmaker in Austria, or I don't even know how their relationship started, to be honest. No, and Andy was probably DMing her weird stuff. He'd probably kill me for that. He was like, look, I've got this idea. It's a song about dance, but I had the studio, he had the idea. So we came together and we changed a few things and I produced it, sent it back to the lady, and the film won an IFL International Film Award for Best Soundtrack. So the relationship was cool, and she obviously liked it. I was kind of like a little bit more prolific than Andy at the time. I have helped him with produced his EP with him a few months ago. That's flying. What's it called now? I'll remember it in a minute and I'll give it him a plug for slagging him off. So Yasmin Hickel, her name is, and she's obviously from Austria. So I'd done some other stuff. She'd sent me work again for composing music for some movies. And they didn't get chosen in the end, but that's part of the process. But our relationship had been building. And she said, hey, you got a single coming out soon? And I was like, yes. She's like, can you make any of these dates? And I'm like, what for? She's like, well, if you come to Vienna, we can tie it in with this project. So I don't know if they got like some sort of funding. So she was like in her last year of like film school, I think. But she's already prolific. She's out there doing stuff, and she's won awards. She's really good. So I was like, Vienna, man. I don't even speak that. What language do you speak? Because she's like messaging me in English, And she's like German or Italian. I'm like, so I don't know. Didn't quite fancy it. And then I thought, I just Googled like flights to like Vienna. It was like 28 quid return. I was like,
ridiculous.
can you do the 20th? She's like, yeah. I'm like, right, just bought a ticket now. And I got the shittiest hotel. It wasn't the shittiest, but it was okay, you know. And then went out there. But she's a serious cat, you know. We haven't just gone out there and stood, you know, me performing or anything. She came up with a full-on concept for the video. The crew was about 10 deep. It was like proper lighting, proper staging, makeup, director, producer, all that sort of stuff. And you know, I'm going to be putting some stills up actually on my Instagram later on today, so they'll be up. I don't know what time your show or when it would go out or whatever, but it's just, I don't want to say it looks good.
No, I mean it sounds great to me. And is the sort of the plan with that, is that to have that released like on the same day as the single, or is it going to come before or after? What's the
I'm doing, you know what, I'm just gonna go. She's gonna edit it now. Bear in mind, we did 2 full days.
Yeah.
So we were filming day 1 out in the public in Vienna, and that was a bit awkward. People were like, "What's he doing?" Like some people were like, "Who's that?" Because like they would just follow me with this camera, and I was like walking through Vienna and stuff like that. But it basically the premise of the video is it shows me arriving in Vienna and coming to this venue, which is an amazing venue, like the second location. I was like this big old like industrial unit, but then there's two actors. Well, they're actors and dancers, and so they sort of like portray the story.
Yeah.
In like this dance, which doesn't sound like the coolest indie like rock and roll video, but it looks cool, man. And also, it was just, I really just wanted to give it to somebody.
Yeah.
And just say, look, this is, do what you want with it. But like from what I've seen and the playback, I was like, damn, that looks really good. And it looks good.
Yeah.
Whether you like the song or even like the way I am, you know, that's irrelevant. Like take all that out. It's just gonna look awesome. And I'm really happy for her and her team also if it comes out. Because you know, they worked hard, dude. I mean, we did like yesterday we were on location at 7 in the morning and we left at like I think 9 o'clock.
Wow,
we
long day.
Yeah, we broke for lunch like for 1 hour. But it was cool, man. Those people in Austria and Vienna is such a beautiful place. It's really good. If you can get over there, if you haven't been, I'd recommend it to anybody. They're really super cool people, really nice.
Great stuff. So obviously the new single, It Gets Old, is obviously going to be the first one as well from the first release, from a forthcoming EP that you've got looking about mid-July, I believe, aren't we, for that one? So what can fans expect from the EP? Are we going to get sort of songs that are similar in sort of style or sound, or is it sort of a mixture, you know, a combination of sort of influences and
yeah? So I think when I narrow it down, I'm such a like procrastinator. So as it stands now, there's like 10 to get down to like 6, maybe 5. So yeah, I think there's going to a format. So there'll be 3 or 4 the sort of same sort of stuff. That's like more sort of upbeat. Like the indie stuff that I do, and then like the classic sort of like Oasis-y, Noli sort of vibe, with like, you know, just an acoustic song in there, you know, a little bit more sort of heartfelt, just to show. I mean, the stuff that I've written already that I've given away is free B-sides that I think is going to be on there. So it's either going to be a song called Don't Call This a Fight. It's going to be probably that one, or I've just written a new one called Rocket Machine, which I really, really like. And that one's actually a tribute to my brother, who's been through some like dependency issues over the last couple of years and hit a real low and now he's coming out. He's like 170 plus days clean, and he's looking great, you know. And just he's really inspired me. This song, and that's what it is. It's like, look at you now, you're a rocket machine, because it was bad, man. He was like induced in a coma and stuff. So I think it's going to be that one that is going to go on there. Just because, just to show that how impressed I am with him, and as a little tribute to him. So 3 or 4 like of the upbeat songs. And to be fair, if you like go through my Instagram, you'll probably be able to pick them out, because as soon as I get an idea, you'll know yourself. As soon as I get an idea, I put it out and I stick it out there. And that's kind of my way of like, ooh, you know, people are like, not that it's all about likes, but you can, you know, people like message me or DM me and they're like, you know, that sounds cool, or you'll be like, hey, that sounds cool. And then I've also, like, with people like yourself, I mean, you know, I don't care who listens to my demos, because, you know, if any of the musicians want to listen to it and help me pick this EP, then you can just message me, man, and I'll give you the link. Because, you know, if you want to steal music, that's up to you. You know, that's on you. But, you know, everybody's been really helpful so far. So yeah, I know 5 or 6 songs, and yeah, definitely, I think Rocket Machine for my brother in there.
Yeah, that's obviously, it's nice that you've got that tribute. Obviously, quite a sort of like difficult time, I can imagine. So to have something like that, a little, you know, sort of tribute as well.
But again, it's like when you hear it, you know, it's really like production wise, bear in mind. I mean, you know, but for those who don't know, I do all the instruments myself. I'm like a little Billy No Mates. You know what I mean? Doing it, and it's just because I write so quickly, so I don't have time to be like phoning the boys and they go like, you know, whatever. So I just write it all as quick as possible, and then that's how I learn to produce, you know, stuff. So I do it all in house at my studio, and then I actually master it separately, use it, which is a cool thing for anybody listening that's doing their own stuff. There's do an online mastering suite. If you can't afford to get it done mastered properly by like a human being, and I would recommend doing that if you can afford it. But yeah, Lander, there's other ones out there, so I'm not trying to like fucking hell, man. The Lander's really good, and I use that, you know, and that made a big difference to my production. Keep it all in house, get it done as quickly as possible. And the same, so like Rocket Machine, the production for me is the best I've ever done, like ever. And even though it's you know, a heavy subject matter, it's still a positive song.
Yeah.
So you know, it's an anthem. I mean, you know, a bit like, I mean, I'm not comparing myself to Ashcroft, you know what I mean? But like the drugs don't work. You know, that sort of thing where it's like a heavy vibe, but like it's empowering at the same time. Yeah. So yeah, that'll be on there anyway. Big up Kevin, my brother.
Yeah, hey, sounds great, and I'm sure that when he you know, here's the phone. I've already heard it. I don't know, but I'm sure he's
heard a little bit. I just tested the water because I didn't want him to be like,
surprise,
or like falling off the wagon because, you know, some I've done, you know. So.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but obviously you've just said there, obviously, that you play all the instruments, you obviously record, mix, and everything else that goes with it, but with the EP eventually coming out at some point over the summer, is there going to be any like plans for like gigs, like get a band together? Would you do it solo, or do you not feel it would work? Or
there is. So I've got a band that I play with, and they are Chris Morris, best friend that we spoke about before, a guy called Wayne, so he's on guitar, lead guitar, Wayne Pillington, who is on bass, and then it changes really on the drummers. There's a few different drummers because like I'm a drummer as well, so I know how flaky I am. Drummers, man. So if you're local and you're a drummer, hit me up, because Drummers are a pain in the ass. But yes, so I will do. I mean, the reason I don't like gig all the time now is it's kind of like, you know, I enjoy like the kids getting out there, man, and doing it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
There's promoters around our way, Soft Lab promotions. So I'll speak to them and get out there. But really, this year has just been about writing.
Yeah.
I've played thousands of gigs. You know, I've played the UK, Europe, and the US, and I do love gigging. But it was more about writing. So yeah, now this is done, I can just put that to bed, and then get out there and start performing again. Yeah. So that summertime we'll start doing some stuff.
Sure, sounds very, very exciting. And obviously you've released it was about 5 solo songs, I think, now to date.
Yeah,
is there one song in particular that maybe means a little bit more to you, or maybe stands out from the crowd? You know, maybe if someone was looking for like an entry point into your solo stuff.
Yeah, I think the entry point would just have to be Staying Tonight, really, which was my first one that I released as a solo artist. And again, that was written, Staying Tonight, it's about like lockdown and those sort of things, but it's not, again, I like to, if I'm doing a song that's got like a heavy subject matter, I like it to have like a sort of uplifting musical value to it.
Yeah.
Likewise, if I'm doing something that's like sad, you know, like uplifting, or something that's uplifting, like a positive message, but do it, you know, in like a slow, emotional way, things like that. Sure. But anyway, so Staying Tonight, yeah, that was my first single, and I put it together. Again, it was a few hours. Looking back at it now, I remastered it actually and sent it out, but it's got a cool video to it, which is borrowed drone footage around through London, like during lockdown, and it's really eerie. So yeah, I released that and it went to like #2 in the iTunes singer-songwriter charts. Freaking Jake Bugg was doing something at the time, so it wasn't getting to #1, but I was knocking on the door, you know. And I think it got up to like 65 in like the regular charts, but ended at like 99 or something. So I was like, that was a real big moment for me.
Yeah, definitely.
I was like, you know, I can write songs. People are buying them, you know, I'm not just streaming them. My streams are really poor. You know, I don't push that thing. And it's not because when people buy your single, it makes me money. I mean, I'm not loaded off money from music. Just even teaching music's crap, man. You know? It's just like, do it because I love it, you know. But I think because of my demographic, it's like 34, 45 with a few either side.
Yeah.
And it's always been about kind of like what you're doing, like you champion new music. Mine was always like, the message was, look, let's try and do it all together.
Yeah.
You know, let's get independent artists. And it's only for a moment in time, because you know yourself that, you know, once the streams start getting put into the single counts and stuff like that, then I disappear. But, you know, so far, touch wood, and hopefully with this record, with this one as well, I'll get up there and, you know, show my face amongst the big boys for a while, you know.
Yeah, hey, definitely, and hey, #2 is not to be sniffed at in my book.
Yeah. So I've had 2, 4, 6, and 10. So this one better not be like 12. I'll see.
Hopefully it'll go right. Hopefully it'll go right to the top.
No, I've said that. They're like, "Fuck, we're not buying that." all my mates are like, "No." In fact, it's so funny. You know, it's like with the boys. Like my mates have like supported me for years, and like. And like now it's kind of like getting a little bit sort of like, I need new friends. Because the single's called It Gets Old, and like someone like just replied to me like, you got old.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thanks.
You know, I like that stuff too. I love that banter, man. I love that boys banter.
No, definitely. And
yeah, so
I mean,
Playing Tonight, man. Check it out. It's a good song.
Absolutely. And obviously it's clear from chatting to you, not just today, but obviously across Instagram and all the rest of it. But clearly songwriting and music obviously means a hell of a lot to you. And obviously you've had your songs used in campaigns for National Geographic and Red Bull. But I'd imagine winning I think I'm going to say this right, an EFF UK award for best soundtrack for an independent film could possibly be the proudest moment of the lot.
Yeah, it was. It's cool. Look, it's cool. It's really, really cool. But you know, it's just another thing. Do you know what I mean? I'm proud of every song that I release, and even when I look back and think, oh, maybe I could have done that better or do that better. Now it's just about making music, you know, putting it out there, not being scared to do it. Because I mean, really, the reason, kind of like a fear of failure thing, really held me back as well. You know, oh, what if nobody likes my music? Oh, you know. And I know I was, you know, because it was vanity, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you don't want to be, you know, you don't want to be like, kind of like under the spotlight and stuff. And obviously when Staying Tonight did well, and then the other songs did well. But ultimately, and I'm going to be completely honest, I want people to like my music, but the thing that I buzz off the absolute most is that my kids can ask Alexa to play their dad. You know,
sure.
And I mean that with all honesty. And you know, please, if you like my music, great. If you can support me, sound. If you don't, you crack on, man. Because there's other music out there. There's so much. You know, listen to your shows, listen to all the other guys that are out there. But yeah, getting my kids being able to ask Alexa and then like dance to my music and stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
It took about 3 months to explain to my daughter. She's only 4.5. I love Sienna. That you can't just ask for daddy. So she's like, Alexa, play daddy. And Alexa's just like giving it north.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so now she can, and like, obviously she like learned to say our surname properly. She'd be like, Mark Bleasdale, or some childish shit. And then like, so yeah, that means everything for me now, because that's what it's about, you know. It's like, that's what it's going to be. You know, whether I crack on and you know, ideally for me, I'd like to get some support, like even like independent label wise with the EP. And there's a few things in the background talking about things. I've been there before, so I'm not going to like big it up or nothing. Yeah. But yeah, even if like nothing happens with it, I'll just know that it's out there. And you know, it's out there forever. And the same with this video, really. It's just another thing that, like, you know, when I'm gone, my kids will still be able to look at their dad on the telly. And
for sure.
That's what it is for me now. It's about, you know, making the music that I love, doing things, supporting other artists, bigging people up. Because I do believe in that community.
Yeah.
I do believe in that we all rise together. You know, because that mainstream media, it's what is it? In all honesty, you know, just the bands that you play and listen to every day and champion song of the day every day, all that sort of stuff. The likelihood of like, what is the percentage of any of that getting past? I don't even know. Let's say, I don't know, BBC Introducing. I mean, I got on BBC Introducing, I thought, this is it. They've not played a single since. I'm like, you know what I mean? So what are the odds of these kids have, or these other musicians, without you guys? The mainstream media is like lost the plot.
Yeah, no, that's part of the reason why I started this off was to try and help, you know, obviously going to gigs over the years, and you see, you know, oh, sounds like a really good support band, and you've never heard of them before. It's only getting out there and getting to gigs, and that was the one good thing about lockdown, that it meant that, you know, we need to do something, need to be able to listen to these bands, who's out there, and you know, and you do find it, and I agree, it does make you wonder what is the percentage of these, you know,
I don't even think
figures.
It's 1%. I don't even think it's 1.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. The only thing I'd say is that I think maybe the bands that have maybe got some of the backing behind it might have a bit of a chance, but
yeah, I mean,
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, there's loads. I mean, I was listening to on the airports there, like Columbia's album. What's it called? Something Chaos.
Yeah, Embrace the Chaos. Yeah.
Chaos. Again, good tunes, man. I know they're doing well and stuff. And they're not kids either.
Have they what? Sorry.
They're not young pups, are they? Those
No,
guys?
they're not. No, they're. I think
Which
they're
I like as well.
in our sort of range. Yeah, yeah.
I like that a lot.
So yeah, no, they're a great set of lads. I've got a lot of time for them boys. But sort of just moving away just ever so slightly. We've just mentioned gigs there, but so can you remember like maybe the first gig that you went to as like a punter?
Do you know what, dude? The first gig I ever went to was Michael Jackson at Wembley, the old Wembley Arena, Wembley Stadium. Sorry.
Wow.
Yeah, I went and I don't know what tour it would have been. Probably should. Yeah, it was there. I obviously went with my parents. I was a kid.
Yeah.
And it was amazing. I just remember. I remember thinking, how are there this many people in one place? Back then, you know what I mean? It was like
yeah, no, definitely, yeah.
And then everybody just fills out at the same time down that Wembley way.
Yeah, madness.
My mum's hand was like imprinted on my hand for about 3 days. It's just like, you know, I'm like looking around, but just to see them, I've seen those musicians like dancing and stuff. And
yeah.
So that was amazing. Obviously, a big Michael Jackson fan. But then, really, as like you know, a teenager or something like that, it would have been Oasis at Main Road. Again, was quite a pivotal one. So we were on the second day.
Yeah.
And that was the best, man. That was the first time that I'd ever sort of witnessed just like that. And what I liked about, and I don't want to say lad culture because it's not cool, some of it, but let's just take the positive side of, like, you know, that lad culture, maybe not, I don't know if that's the right word, that scene anyway.
Yeah.
Just people were like just giving it loads, fellas singing, you know, everybody, the chicks, everybody singing. It was just amazing, man, and it was good. I just remember the crowd when it came on. It was amazing.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, funny story, my mate Mozza, again, what happened? Oh yeah, he lost his shoe, his trainer, like one of his new pairs, because we all wore new clothes for gigs back then, didn't we? But you know, you wanted to look cool, man, even if it wasn't appropriate. Do you know what I mean? I think I had like absolutely like Arctic white arc jacket, like zipped up to my nose. It was covered in piss. Do you know what I mean? At the end of it, it was filthy ruined, man. Anyway, Mazza lost his shoe. I'm like, so he's like bouncing up and down on 1 foot for like the whole set, pretty much. Anyway, just as the set's ending, fucking shoe hits him in the head. Someone must have just picked the shoe up, put his shoe on. At least he could like walk home. Tell you what, man, after that
brilliant.
After that show in Main Road, it was like, because we live outside Liverpool. Do you know what I mean? We're not city boys, if you like.
Yeah.
Coming outside Manchester, man, we were just like, what? I met Liam like when we were with the Mags, and we spoke about that gig and stuff with him and that. And he was just like, I mean, he was like proper cool about it, to be honest. But we were just like proper fanboys.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Like, what we were doing? It's like, fucking chill out, man.
I can imagine. I think I'd be exactly the same. I think if I got that opportunity. So you've got £30 to spend on a takeaway. What are you ordering?
Chicken tikka jal masala, which is like chicken tikka but hot.
Yeah.
PR rice, chips, Peshwari naan, and then whatever she wants.
And I'm going to twist it there a little bit. And as part of that takeaway, you can invite 2 guests. Who are you bringing? 30 quid probably not going to go that far, to be fair. But
oh no, but I'll share it. I'll share my stuff. Who do I invite? Dead or alive? Anyone?
Anyone, entirely up to you.
All right, I'll choose my granddad. I'll have him back. I'm gonna have a chat with him.
Yeah.
Granddad Turpin, and then I would. Do you know what? He was so cool. I'd sit down with Liam again, I think.
Yeah, nice.
I don't think him and my granddad would have much to chat about, like, but he'd probably just call him a dirty mank or something like that.
Massive food fight and fist cuffs by the sounds of it.
Yeah, he's cool, man. Yeah, both those two legends.
Oh, nice. That's really nice, man. And unfortunately, that is the end of the podcast. Thanks very much for coming on. I've really enjoyed it. It's been great getting to know you. Great story there. But just before you go, we did allude to it at the very beginning of the podcast, but you've obviously very kindly recorded an exclusive track for us. Can you just introduce it for us and just tell us a little bit about the song?
Yeah, so this track is Lies on Lies. It was my previous single. I just wanted to do a little bit of something different for you, mate, just to give you content, like I've said before, for the show. I really appreciate what you've done for me over the last 12 months or so, and I'm sure, you know, big shout out to everybody else that you've helped. Yeah, I just wanted to do that, and then, you know, hey, look, maybe everybody else who comes on this show should do something if they can, if they've got the facilities to do it. If they haven't, and they're in the Northwest, they can always come to my studio and I'll record it for them. But yeah, so this is Lies on Lies, the acoustic version for you.
Fantastic, and that will be included at the end of the podcast. So don't just switch off at the end. So don't forget, Mark's new song "It Gets Old" is due to be released on June the 1st, and will be available to stream and download on all of the usual platforms. All that leaves me to say is thank you to everyone for listening to the latest This Is the Music Meets podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to receive notification of all of our future podcasts. And just as importantly, go and give Mark's new single and his back catalogue a stream or a download very soon. Thank you very much. So as we just said there at the end of the show, Mark Bleasdale very kindly recorded an exclusive performance for the This Is the Music Meets podcast. It is, of course, his most recent single, which is called Lies on Lies. I hope you very much enjoy.
You tell